Pirate software will go down in history as one of the most spectacular downfalls the internet has ever seen. His Twitch viewership is a third of what it used to be, he's losing tens of thousands of subscribers on YouTube every day, and worst of all, he's become the lolcow of the internet, with millions of people raking him over the coals for everything he says or does. And at this point, he has no one to blame but himself.
I cannot believe his ego. His ego is so out of control, I feel like he's only a week or two away from exclusively referring to himself in third person, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the truth, cause Pirate Software said so. Something like that. It's crazy.
He could have avoided this entire controversy with just 3 words: I was wrong. But his ego and arrogance got in the way of him admitting fault, turning him from a beloved and respected figure to one of the most hated personalities on the internet, all in a matter of days. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today, we're taking a look at how you've watched multiple of my videos and aren't yet subscribed. Just kidding. We're taking a look at the deserved downfall of Pirate Software, his monumental fall from grace, and how, even after losing everything, he's continuing to make the situation worse for himself.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
However, to fully grasp why the internet is so mad at Pirate Software, we have to understand what made him popular in the first place. Jason Hall, better known as Thor, originally started his career back in 2004 as a game developer for Blizzard, the company that made titles like World of Warcraft and Overwatch. After leaving his job at Blizzard, he worked at Amazon Studio for a while, before quitting from there as well and becoming a hacker for the US government.
So, after that, I ended up going to work for the United States Department of Energy because I'm a hacker, offensive security guy, and I hacked power plants for the federal government.
But after a year of doing his job, he resigned from there as well, and started working full-time on his indie game RPG named Heartbound in 2017. He also started doing daily live streams under the name of his studio, Pirate Software, showcasing his game development process on Twitch. However, while Heartbound saw some success in its early days, even getting played by Jacksepticeye at one point, he was still relatively unknown on the internet. But then, in 2022, he made a small decision that would end up changing his life forever. On January 17th, 2022, Thor posted his first short video on YouTube titled Imposter Syndrome. It was a clip from one of his Twitch streams where he gave valuable advice to an inexperienced developer.
I don't wish to fail myself because I'm terrified of actually releasing something to the world I've worked on for over 3 years. Dear God, I am so terrified.
Hey Thornstar, that feeling never goes away. It never does. I am constantly afraid to release every single piece of content I ever work on this game. I am constantly afraid to get onto stream and like not be, whatever it is that people expect me to be. I am constantly afraid that I'm going to create content that no one wants to hang out with, that no one wants to look at, no one wants to care about. And that's just how that is. The thing is you can't stop. You shouldn't stop.
This ended up being a bigger success than he could have ever imagined, amassing over 850,000 views to date. More importantly, this short became a fantastic first impression for all these new viewers, who now saw him as someone exceptionally wise and intelligent. After seeing the potential of short-form content, Thor went all in on this new format and started posting shorts almost daily, and it wasn't long before they were picked up by the YouTube algorithm. As a result, Thor became a regular presence on the YouTube homepage for anyone even slightly interested in game development, bringing in millions of new viewers almost overnight. People also loved almost everything about his content, from his behind-the-curtain knowledge of game development.
Most publishers want 30 to 70% of your income from your game. 30 to 70%. Some of them want 100% upfront until they recoup their costs of marketing your game.
And random tips and tricks.
Take your mouse, and you put your mouse inside of MS Paint, and then you hold spacebar. And then you use the arrow keys, you can draw like an Etch-a-Sketch.
To his odd and often amusing opinions.
They mixed Dr. Pepper and beans. They mixed Dr. Pepper and beans. Do they taste like Dr. Pepper? Hell yeah, they do. And they're amazing. They are delicious.
As a fan comment under one of his first YouTube streams states, Thor, wow, first I've heard of you was yesterday from the shorts. You were everything I've been looking for in terms of knowledgeable game dev, storyteller, and straight up kind human. Keep it up, badass. The popularity of his content on YouTube also translated into his Twitch viewership skyrocketing past any expectations he might have had. It reached a point where he broke the Twitch hype train record 4 different times, and gained over 80,000 paid subscribers on the platform. By 2024, Thor's career had reached an all-time high. Millions of fans eagerly consumed everything he released, and the vast majority held him in very high regard. As a thankful viewer puts it, this is the most motivating and helpful individual I've found in the game dev space. And that's saying quite a lot, as most devs are so helpful and encouraging. This man makes me feel like my dreams are within my grasp, and that's so rare to find. He was on track to become one of the legendary figures of online gaming, right alongside the likes of Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. But then, 2025 rolled around, and a single livestream nearly shattered the trust and support Thor had spent years building.
I didn't play well. Other people in the group didn't play well. They pinned it on me. That's it. There was one of the players that was very vocal about saying it was all my fault, and then the rest of the community rallied around it. And now it's become a content play for people to pick at me, and that's kind of it.
It all started on January 12th, 2025, when Thor decided to stream a hardcore World of Warcraft raid with other streamers and veteran players. At one point during the raid, the situation became dire, and instead of helping his teammates in any way, Thor decided to run away. This resulted in 2 other players' characters dying, which for those of you who aren't familiar with World of Warcraft hardcore, this means that those characters were now lost forever. The players would have to grind the game for weeks to get back to the same level again. But rather than admitting fault or even showing remorse, Thor decided to be arrogant about it and put all the blame on others.
Because you're angry right now. Of course,
Don't be angry.
You overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys in the first place, and nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources. You overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me.
This showed the egotistical side of Thor that, admittedly, was already present in his content.
It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction.
But his fans didn't pay much attention to it, since till this point, Thor was seen as a passionate, talented developer who genuinely cared about the gaming community, so his occasional cockiness was written off as confidence rather than a red flag. However, even after getting called out by other streamers,
What the hell, man? Why not just apologize?
Like I said, huge pirate fan, love the content. This is not the look.
Thor did not budge, and even doubled down.
Wants me to sit down, grovel on my knees, and be like, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Yamato. It was all my fault, the mage. I won't do it again. I'm so sorry that tank overpulled 2 packs and a boss. Oh man, oh god. Next time I'll save you from the big mean 2 packs and a boss that tank pulled. Are you kidding me, dude?"
This incident put his behavior into a completely different light. While this controversy faded away in a few weeks, it formed the first crack in Thor's impeccable online reputation, and it's only been downhill from there. But to fully understand the controversy that's killing Thor's career, we have to go back in time to the end of 2023. On December 14th, 2023, Ubisoft announced that it would be shutting down the servers for its multiplayer racing game called The Crew in April of 2024. However, unlike many other multiplayer games where an internet connection is only needed for playing against others online, The Crew required players to be online at all times. In other words, Ubisoft shutting down the servers meant that players would no longer be able to access the game they paid for. This also meant losing access to the game's single-player campaign, which should have been fully offline. This sparked intense online backlash, as players felt like they were being robbed of the game they paid for with their hard-earned money. What made the situation even worse was that this wasn't the first game to shut down like this, and it was clear it wouldn't be the last. So to fight back against greedy publishers, Ross from Accursed Farms spent months creating a potential solution.
But now we have a new option, proposing new law, and for the entire European Union. It took months to get put together and processed, but now we have a European Citizens Initiative devoted to halting the destruction of video games. You can read it yourself. This would require publishers to leave games they have sold to customers in a working state at the time of shutdown, without requiring any further connection to them or affiliated parties for the games to function.
This solution took the form of a petition, which, unlike the largely useless Change.org petitions, had actual legal weight. If this petition reached 1 million signatures, lawmakers in the EU were legally required to discuss the matter in an official setting. And if passed, this new law would require game makers to ensure that their games are still playable after they stop supporting them.
We're just trying to stop games from being destroyed. That's it. So we're taking as narrow an approach as possible that still solves the problem. If we get enough signatures, then this goes before the European Union to be considered as new law.
This would be a net positive outcome for gamers around the world. Unfortunately, this initiative had one major weakness right from the get-go, and that was Ross's reach. You see, his subscriber count was just 1/3 of the number of signatures needed to make this a success. And since he's based in the US, most of these subs weren't eligible EU citizens either. So to counteract this weakness, Ross called out other creators and asked them to spread the word about this initiative. He even made himself available for any interviews or follow-up discussions.
If you're watching this, you may be a critical link in all this, because you can tell other YouTubers, streamers, etc. about this initiative, and maybe they'll pick it up. Now, I'm offering myself for interviews, publicity on this issue, whatever, to almost anyone with a European audience of some size.
And that's where Thor entered the picture. He came across the Stop Killing Games initiative in August of 2024. Now, given his history of speaking in favor of the gamers and developers, and against greedy publishers, people naturally expected him to throw his full support behind the campaign. However, this couldn't have been further from the truth.
Now, this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is it's Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
Not only did he dislike the idea of Stop Killing Games, his choice of words was harsh to say the least.
That is awful. That is a horrible direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This sucks. That's a really stupid move. That's an incredibly stupid move. I think this is complete garbage. All of this can eat then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire.
This was a shock to many of his viewers, so Thor published 2 full videos to clarify his point of view further. And while these videos saw plenty of pushback from fans who were flabbergasted by his decision to oppose what they saw as something good, it ultimately resulted in the Stop Killing Games movement receiving significantly less support than it would have if Thor supported it as well. You have to remember that this was all before the World of Warcraft hardcore fiasco. Back then, the broader gaming community still viewed Thor as a beacon of insight and authority in game development. Ross tried to combat the negative reception by publishing a FAQ video to clear any misconceptions about Stop Killing Games. Unfortunately, this wasn't as effective as he would have liked, resulting in Stop Killing Games losing all momentum and essentially becoming dead on arrival. Is 2025, and turning an idea into an online business needs to be lightning fast. So Odoo's e-commerce tool gets a store live and profitable in minutes. Big thanks to Odoo for sponsoring this video. Odoo is an all-in-one management platform that gives entrepreneurs everything they need, from invoicing and accounting to inventory, project management, website creation, and more. With Odoo's e-commerce builder, you can launch an online store fast. The built-in configurator asks a few questions, then an AI drafts your entire site, menus, and product catalog skeleton. After that, you just drag and drop content blocks, tweak fonts and colors, and your storefront is ready. Adding products is just as smooth. Create an item, drop a name and price, then dress it up with images, descriptions, and any layout you like. Need variants or bundles? One click and they appear. Setup is equally simple. Enter your VAT number, bank account, and invoice template, choose shipping methods and payment providers, hit save, and your store is officially open for business. Here's the best part. Your first Odoo app is free for life, including unlimited hosting, support, and even a custom domain for a year. Since Odoo's website and invoicing apps connect automatically, you can run your entire online store without paying a cent until you scale. And extra apps start from just $24.90 USD per user per month. Ready to turn that idea into revenue? Click the link below and launch your e-commerce store with Odoo today. That being said, let's get back into the video. For the next 10 months, it looked like, despite Ross's good intentions, his initiative was doomed to fail spectacularly. But then, he did something that no one saw coming. On June 22nd, 2025, Ross uploaded an hour-long video titled "The End of Stop Killing Games," talking about the disappointing state of the petition.
The European Citizens Initiative failing kind of stings. Again, this one is crazy powerful, but the hurdle we just couldn't get past was that it requires 1 million signatures from citizens of EU countries. And we've only made it just under halfway.
And after thanking many of the creators that voiced their support for their campaign, he shifted his focus towards the elephant in the room, the one creator whose coverage was straight up poisonous for the initiative, Thor.
This video came out right as we were building momentum. Then, except for one boost in Germany, the signatures started drying up like clockwork.
Ross also revealed why he didn't make a direct response to Thor until now.
This put me in kind of a no-win scenario too. Because if I ignored it, then a lot of people are going to get misinformed about the campaign. But if I did a response video, which is not something I wanted to do anyway, then it might look like drama farming, which could understandably turn off a lot of people from the campaign, because it's not about that at all. So I quickly made this video trying to clear up all misconceptions and concerns about the initiative, with timestamps for everyone's questions, hoping the truth would eventually come out. I can see now that was a mistake. I should have just embraced the drama.
At this point, Stop Killing Games was already on track to be a failure, so this video was one last push from Ross to make a difference. Surprisingly, this worked better than anyone could have ever expected, and one big reason for that was what Ross revealed about Thor, because as it turned out, Thor misunderstood and misrepresented the whole thing.
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters. That wasn't enough. We just can't stop gamers from going there, even when we spell it out.
And Ross was having none of it.
This part hurts. To see the biggest voice on this issue get it wrong again and again and again, then put that same wrong information on blast to a far bigger audience than we can reach. It hurts. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what we're asking for.
He even called out the clear contradiction Thor made in his own argument just seconds apart.
I think live service games getting sunsetted is fine. I've always thought that. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I have no problems with the end of a video game.
See, I wish he started his big YouTube video with that message instead of deleting it. Instead, he presented himself as pro-preservation and not wanting the medium to die out.
It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games and that the next generation has the tools to do so that our medium doesn't die out. And it never will. And that's the whole intention of all of this.
So he doesn't want games to die out, except he's fine with that. I think there's some cognitive dissonance going on there.
This video showed that Thor's distaste for the Stop Killing Games initiative is based on complete misinterpretations, which in turn called his credibility as an experienced and knowledgeable developer in question. However, before Thor had even a chance to respond, Ross's new video reached the one man who could bring this issue to a mainstream audience, Charlie.
And there is an initiative that has been aiming to fight back against a lot of these practices that I think really need some big overhaul. Stop destroying things that people have paid money to own. I think that is a very understandable, very reasonable take, very agreeable.
And he called out Thor's incorrect interpretation of the initiative as well.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. He missed all the QTEs and got the bad ending on understanding the initiative from the jump here. Ross is correct. This has nothing to do with just single-player only games that require an online connection, that when the online connection is severed, you lose access to the game. Like, yeah, that is included in all of this, but that's not, like, what the whole movement is about. And for some reason, Pirate Software is stun-locked on that, like, fixated, as if that is the actual, like, meat and potatoes of Stop Killing Games. They need to be more specific in their language about it being single-player, always online connectivity games. When that's just not what it's about. Like, they're not being specific about that because that is not what they are specifically targeting.
This video from Charlie was a godsend for Stop Killing Games, as it exposed the idea to over 3.4 million people. More importantly, it highlighted Thor's flawed take and the damage it did to an otherwise positive movement. Following Charlie's video, several other creators also came forwards with their support for the initiative, including Jacksepticeye, The Actman, PewDiePie, and many more. The story was also picked up by countless commentary YouTubers, resulting in Thor once again receiving pushback for his opposition of Stop Killing Games. But unlike last time, where it sort of fizzled out within weeks, the backlash wasn't showing any signs of slowing down. He started losing subscribers and followers across all platforms, and everything he did online got flooded with dislikes and angry comments, like, essentially, you will own nothing and be happy. I reject that. Achievement unlocked, being wrong on all levels. Many of these commenters were even his own loyal fans, who now saw him as a corporate shill more than a genuinely well-intentioned developer. As a casual follower ever since the beta release of Heartbound, this is extremely disappointing to watch. The backlash was so overwhelming that it seemed like nothing he said could soften the blow or calm the outrage. However, that's not true. He still had a chance to retain some of the trust his viewers had put in him. All he had to do was admit fault, apologize, and support the Stop Killing Games initiative. But knowing Thor, that was never going to happen. Just as he did after the hardcore World of Warcraft incident, Thor decided to double down here as well and stick to his stance, regardless of how wrong he was, stating, "For those that will scream his doubling down, yes, I am. I give about this initiative and what it means for games, developers, and players in the future." Near the end of this tweet, he also stated, "Just because I don't support this doesn't mean you should blindly follow me in that. Just because I said pretty words on the internet, you also shouldn't blindly bash me because some other creator said to. Watch the videos I put out, read the initiative, decide for yourself, apply critical thinking, and don't outsource it to others." Completely disregarding the responsibility he had as a creator that millions looked up to at one point. Not to mention, this also went against what he said in his initial reaction.
This is it's not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
This attitude only angered the internet more, forcing him to step away from Off-Brand Games, the game studio Ludwig founded with his friends. However, Thor couldn't help but turn this into a source of embarrassment as well. You see, he announced his leave in a tweet, reading, "I'm no longer working at Off-Brand Games. People were attacking all of the games we were publishing and trying to mass review bomb them. You can dislike the things I say, but this kind of behavior is unhinged." But when people checked the games published by Off-Brand Games, they didn't find a noticeable uptick in negative reviews. In other words, Thor straight up lied about his reasoning for leaving the studio. He could have simply been honest and admitted that he was stepping away to prevent any backlash from hitting the studio, which had nothing to do with his personal opinions, but his ego wouldn't let him. Instead, he chose to lie and ended up getting caught red-handed. That said, all the hate towards Thor did have the positive effect of making the Stop Killing Games movement go viral. This has resulted in it not only reaching its goal within days, but shooting past it with over 200,000 more at the time of writing. Thor, however, still cannot admit defeat. After the petition reached its goal, he made a tweet that contained a mixture of denial and boasting at the same time, stating, "The most interesting narrative is that my video somehow killed the initiative. This graph showed that the initiative already had a downward trend in interest when my videos dropped. My videos do not seem to have had any impact on the movement at all. Making me the villain did though. Best of luck with your next steps." And as expected from him at this point, he was completely wrong once again. The graph he shared showed the lifetime signatures for the petition. If we zoom into the first 2 months instead, we can clearly see the momentum fall off a cliff the second Thor reacted to Stop Killing Games on his stream. As for his line about becoming the quote villain, Charlie had some necessary feedback on that.
I cannot believe his ego. His ego is so out of control, I feel like he's only a week or two away from exclusively referring to himself in third person, like stone cold fucking Steve Austin. And that's the truth, cause Pirate Software said so. Some like that. It's crazy how he's responded. The smugness is nails on a chalkboard. It just makes you feel icky listening to it.
Even when he's trying to back down, he can't help but create more drama.
I've been called a zoo corporate plant, degenerate, narcissist, nepo baby, and many other names, and they attacked all the accomplishments over my life despite physical evidence to prove to the contrary. And they also went after every job I ever held, trying to say that I never worked them, or if I did work them, that I never deserved them. So I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
Effectively saying that what Stop Killing Games is asking for is not what gamers want, and somehow he's the only one who knows this. Which makes sense when you consider the fact that even Dr. K, a trained psychologist, recognized Thor as a highly arrogant person.
I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this.
Yeah.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I don't see it that way, but all right.
At the end of the day, Thor is simply too far gone. He had months to set things right, but he didn't, because in his mind, he could never be wrong. Now, that egotistical viewpoint has become the reason for his disastrous yet deserved downfall, leaving him with two options for the future. He can still admit that he was wrong and apologize. This wouldn't stop the backlash anytime soon, but some people will recognize his attempt to correct his mistake and start supporting him again, allowing him to eventually build a solid fan base once again. Or he can continue down the path he's already going, stay firm on his stance, and eventually turn into the perpetual lolcow of the internet, where the only time someone remembers him is to make fun of him. Of course, he could also try to make a comeback in the future and fail miserably, just like the Liver King. Click the video on screen to find out more.